First story. Poisoned water in Texas. Now, again, I asked like 5 people, did you hear about the boil water advisory in Houston this month? Like this week? They were like, no, what are you talking about?
In fact, I did.
Did you?
Actually, would you like to know where I heard it?
Where did you hear about it?
On Independent Left News.
Hey, how about that? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Anthony, Satan News Network. We're going to have some fun.
What's that website you got?
That's IndieLeft.News. That's right.
IndieLeft.News. That's what it is.
Yep.
I found it.
So, poison water comes from our friends at Courthouse News Service, Cameron Langford. Millions of Houston residents are warned to boil tap water. Okay, so this is crazy stuff. And Misty even shared a tweet. I don't have Misty's tweet, but she was outraged, as we all were. A power outage at a water treatment plant triggered the notice, which will remain in effect until Texas state regulators test samples in a lab. Well, this was like Monday, right? We have our stock photo shot of somebody shopping for water. And now there is none, by the way. But Houston's mayor said early Monday that he expects a boil water notice affecting all the city's 2.3 million residents to end Tuesday. They're hoping. The advisory, which was issued late Sunday by the city, came as a surprise because it was sunny and 75 degrees across greater Houston earlier in the day, with no widespread weather events, it seemed, that would necessitate such a warning like Hurricane Harvey in August 17 or Winter Storm Uri in February 21, both of which caused mass power outages throughout the region, right? But it also raised the question of why city officials waited so long to notify the public. This is amazing, given they set a power outage at a water purification plant about 10 miles east of downtown at 10:30 in the morning on Sunday, caused the water pressure to drop below the state required minimum PSI of 20 pounds, right? Well, when water pressure falls so low, right, groundwater carrying harmful bacteria can enter cracks and holes in pipes. Bacteria that can only be removed from water by boiling it, which experts say. I think there are even people that question that. But I wouldn't. But Houston's DPW is advising residents to boil water for drinking, food prep, bathing, and brushing their teeth, and not to use water and ice dispensed from their refrigerators though water pressure was restored to all customers shortly after the outage. That's gross. But, okay, Director of Houston Water, who's more than 1,400 staff members manage pipelines and treatment plants in a 600 square mile area, said residents who drank tap water before they learned the notice shouldn't be worried about their health.
No.
System pressure was never zero. It always remained pressurized. It just fell below the regulatory limit, and that's why I'm not concerned. She said the city doesn't issue boil water notices as soon as the power goes out at a treatment plant, as it must first verify that pressure's dropped in the system below 20 and notify Texas Commission of TEQ, right? TCEQ. Yep. There are a number of steps in the regulatory process before you issue one. We didn't want to unnecessarily alert the city if we didn't have to. You know, Mayor Turner backed her assurances. City's now focused on regulatory hurdles to remove it. Okay.
She means she didn't want people to panic. That's what it sounds like.
Panicking by boiling their water? I mean, by going to a store and buying bottled water?
Right, buying all the water.
Right.
Yeah.
So she said early Monday that the city had met the first requirement, which was obtaining the approval for its water sample testing plan. All right. Workers will begin collecting samples this morning, do 2 complete sets, send the lab for processing. Okay. They got to be observed at the state lab for 18 hours. Water issues were undoubtedly a welcome trade-off for some of Houston Independent School District's 194,000 students. District canceled classes Monday, giving them another day off following a week-long Thanksgiving break. Oh, this actually belongs in the next segment. I don't know why it's here. I moved it the wrong.
Yeah, that's Ruffalo.
So that's part of the fracking. It
probably means it didn't move to the other one.
That's in the fracking thing. Yeah, I have the wrong thing. Okay, anyway. But to follow up, our friend Erin Brockovich also wrote an article this week about it with Suzanne at the Brockovich Report. Great Substack. We have it recommended on our Substack, the BrockovichReport.com. She was trying to get people to subscribe for Giving Tuesday. She does great work about water. So let's unpack the boil water notice that occurred earlier this week and what happened and let's look at it from her perspective. Now, she uses Unsplash, which is stock photos, and credits the photographer. I love that. But we know that this guy said that Sylvester Turner said they issued the notice in an abundance of caution after 2 transformers, a main one and a backup, uniquely and coincidentally failed at a water plant, according to a story in Dallas Morning News. Problem affected the plant's ability to treat and pump the water in the transmission system, resulting in low pressure. We know this. By Tuesday, testing confirmed that tap water once again met all regulatory standards. Notice was lifted, but not so fast. The order prompted officials to close public schools and inconvenienced many residents and business owners alike. Sure it did. All right. Bigger story here is about the frequency of boil notices, advisories, and do not drink orders as they are becoming more common in cities and towns throughout the nation. They're indicative of larger drinking water problems at play and show the gaps and failures in our infrastructure. Well, if anybody's been talking about that for the last couple of years, the last umpteen years, it's been this woman. And thank goodness for that. Texas being one of the worst offenders. So when they had their freeze in February 21, more than 14 million people were under boil water notices thanks to the extreme cold. An estimated 1,550 were issued in Texas in 2015, up from about 1,100 in 2012 and 650 in 2008. So they keep issuing more and more and more. In fact, from 2011 to 16, boil water notices in Texas increased by 73%, according to a 2018 paper published in Texas Water Journal. Total of almost 6,000 notices recorded during that period. That's a lot of boil water notices, man. I haven't gotten 6,000 boil water notices in my town. I haven't gotten one that I can think of. Population growth throughout the state has created higher demand for water on a system that's already taxed. Much of that responsibility for future planning falls on Texas Water Development Board, which works on the state water plan. And this really gets a little bit granular, but you need to know this stuff in order to be able to figure out why isn't it working the way it is. State water plans on a 5-year planning guide for state water policy designed to anticipate and plan for the water needs of Texas based on conditions that are similar to the most recent drought of record. The SWP seeks to plan for the state's water needs 50 years into the future, which is much smarter. Right? TWDB estimates that implementing the water projects recommended by the regional planning groups in the 2020 SWP will require $80 billion in capital costs over the next 50 years. Wow. We just sent $100 billion across to some Nazis. We could have certainly done something with that. And the agency expects $47 billion of that to come from state financial assistance programs. So federal wouldn't even have to subsidize $80 billion or whatever. They would only kick in a portion of that. This is just to fix Texas, I get. But that's a big fix. Biden's infrastructure plan set aside about $35 billion for Texas projects, but it's unclear how the money will be spent or what projects it'll fund. Of course, because they want to be able to launder it and filter it wherever they want. White House estimates that about $2.9 billion should be allotted specifically for drinking water infrastructure. Yes, that's what they estimate, and there'll be all kinds of hurdles and loopholes and things to jump through, and I'm sure there'll be people that will be friendly donors to what, to whoever donated to them to make this happen. You can guarantee is going to be the beneficiary. That's how it works. Study authors, all right, I'm not going to say their names, said in a 2018 paper that the rise in boil water notices is most likely attributed to drought because drought and soil moisture loss can damage water infrastructure. Okay, well, that makes sense. Severe droughts pose a threat to drinking water quality because the resulting loss of moisture in the soil often causes water pipelines and ground to break or leak, which then compromises pressure in the system, triggering a boil water advisory. Sure. High population regions like Houston, Dallas metroplexes experience higher than average boil water notices during the study period. These regions account for more than 42% of the Texas population. Yeah. So thanks to aging infrastructure, rising population, extreme weather events, and climate change, it seems like boil water notices are on tracks to be much a part of Texas life as barbecue and big hair. But Texas isn't the only offender when it comes to these notices. Okay, from the calls and emails that Erin receives, she can easily estimate that there are 1,500 boil water advisories happening each month in the United States, but no one is tracking them at the national level. The EPA is not tracking boil water advisories, people. Are you kidding me? Suddenly, losing access to clean water or wondering whether the water is safe to drink is both a huge inconvenience and a health hazard. No one wants to receive this kind of wake-up call. Well, we just did. Public utilities issue boil water orders as a preventative public health advisory, usually when heightened levels of bacteria are detected in the water. Boiling water helps kill both harmful bacteria and parasites. Residents are usually advised to bring water to a full rolling boil for at least 1 minute to kill any unwanted organisms. Many people opt to drink in
pasteurization.
Right. And many opt to drink and cook with bottled water during an advisory. Either way, telling residents to boil water before they drink it helps make it safe for consumption, but certainly causes a lot of headaches for consumers and city officials alike. Plus, there's the issue of public trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That no one has.
They also are telling you not to bathe in it. Not to bathe in it all day long. That's unconscionable. All right. A communication crisis, of course. So Mulkey and her study co-authors suggested in their paper that increasing strategic crisis communications about boil water notices and other water issues is needed from public water systems. How about fixing the fucking systems? The authors explain that
I do get that, like, I do get, like, we get boil water notices here when we have, like, a hurricane, you know, like, which is normal.
That's what they get, too.
But, like, right. I mean, this is also, like, due to failing power systems, and this is infrastructure across the board that's failing on this one.
Right. You got to fix the problems. The authors explain that a communications plan needs to show clarity, commitment, transparency, honesty, compassion, and engagement to help foster trust between the public and the city. Yes. Quote, if utilities are not communicating in a timely fashion about when customers need to boil their water, that can cause a rift in the trust that the customers have in the utility and question the overall quality of the water being provided by the utility. Again, Valerie in the chat, I got a shout out. She says, does anybody actually drink their water right now anyway that comes out of the top? I would say the answer is no, but I do brush my teeth with it, number one. I don't do that with bottled water. I also shower with it. I also do drink like stuff like my coffee I make out of the filtered water from the refrigerator, which comes from the line. So I do use some tap water, and Jersey Tap is actually pretty decent, believe it or not, because it comes from upstate New York. But
yeah, I mean, the worst part of that is the fluoride that they're putting in stuff.
I've had that my whole life, though.
You know, yeah, I know.
Right? And she's actually written about the fluoride and why do we need to mass fluoride people, and you know, it's like same thing with, you know, universal requirements for vaccination. It's fluoridation. People require different ones, but Texas can learn from past. Go ahead.
The issue with that is that, you know, it's a medical procedure you're forcing on everyone, essentially.
Well, fluoridation is too. Yes.
Yeah.
You're drugging the water. So, exactly. You know, so anyway, Texas can learn from past mistakes. That can affect
multiple people in multiple ways, which it does. You know, but we're going to get into that pineal gland soon, you know?
Yeah.
With that. But anyway.
Ineffective communication strategies, such as those experienced during the Corpus Christi water crisis in 2015-16, create a broken foundation of trust. Corpus Christi city officials were slow to communicate to the public about a chemical leak in the water lines that sparked a series of boil water notices. Most residents didn't find out the cause and severity until watching the nightly news or through word of mouth. This misstep weakened public trust in the Corpus Christi water system. And communicating in a simple language can build public trust. Very simple. Water infrastructure is so technical, and we use all this jargon as water professionals that doesn't necessarily need to translate to everyday people. We know this. So as this guy wrote in a 2019 article, no utility wants to issue a notice. But if it does happen, it's important to get it right, even if your utilities had a long, unblemished record, delivering high-quality water. One mishandled contamination event will leave a bad taste in your customer's mouth, so to speak. Yep. Terrible phrase to use. Like a field goal kicker in football, and as unfair as it may be, one big miss can overshadow years of trustworthy performance. Well, I would say this is a little bit more important than a kicker missing the winning field goal, but...
Well, this is also, and I'm surprised Brockovich didn't talk about it, we're in Tejas, right? What part?
Yep, Houston, Southern.
Right. So we're talking about the
Hurricane
oil
Alley?
fields.
Hurricane Alley, oil,
I,
sure.
that's what I'm thinking of. That's what the stuff they're talking about is getting back into the water. Do they frack in Texas,
I believe
or is
they
it just
do. I think you got double.
drilling?
And
Okay, which that could make things even worse.
good.
So
So, yeah, water, folks. Water. Yeah, water. All right. Pretty crazy. Anyway, so Rick. Yeah, Valerie, thanks for the warning. Yes, we do need to do more research. Brushing your teeth is enough sometimes. But
and
yeah,
she was talking about
oh, Rick.
she was wanting to switch to filtered rainwater, and rainwater might even be worse than filtered tap water in
Is that
particular
right?
areas.
Hmm.
Yeah, because
CS
like you
Moria,
get
welcome.
this is where having a mother who is adept in water ecology, you know, um, helps you. It's like both rainwater and groundwater is highly affected by what we put in the air and ground. So, you're around a city, the rainwater itself could be toxic, you know. So,
Ah,
or you're around a city, so then you like you might as well filter the tap water that the city, because the city's already filtering it. They're already treating it at the water treatment. So, the issue is again, if they do fluoride the water and that's a problem for you. But there's ways around it. Well water is probably safer in some cases, but that depends on where you're at there. So, you definitely need to know where like water is coming from generally. Florida's a little different because we're a giant sponge anyway, you know. So unless you're right on the coast, doing wells is not bad. But you then have to treat that water yourself with, those big, like I remember back in South Florida, we had
tablets.
those like big things with the salt, you know.
Yep, those big
You had to put
salt
rock
things.
salt in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yep, yep. We actually had a water purification system that came in, a water softener. Because we have very hard water in my area. It rusts out
chlorine's
stuff.
chlorine's usually fine.
Stuff's
They're putting
gross.
chlorine in. Like, yeah, you probably can smell it in the summer because like that but the parts per billion they're probably using is like still extremely low. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like there's probably all sorts of other stuff in there that is at the same parts per million. It's just like got to deal with bacteria somehow. You know what they do in I want to say the Netherlands. They do this in a few places. There's a few videos of it on YouTube if you want to go look. They use mollusks, little clams, right? And like they have sensors on the clams, and they feed they like put water through because they're filter feeders anyway, right? So, but they have like a few of them with like a little sensor, so if they close, they'll like it sends an alarm, right? So like if they're freaked out or whatever by the water, right? Like it identifies, sets off an alarm. You can go look, see if the water's fucked. You know, usually they know before we do. So
You need to know if the water's fucked.
also, oyster farming is a big deal if you're wanting to clean water supplies.
Oysters do cleanse the
Filter
water.
feeders do a pretty fantastic job. Yep.
They
You
certainly
know,
do. They certainly do.
so and they're
Um,
delicious. Bread them, fry them, put
I'm
them on
not.
a sandwich.
I'm not a fan. Clams, I am a fan
I
of,
feel
but
you.
oysters, I'm not personally.
There's
So,
the
so
French are
yes.
a big fan of them. They do a thing with I've always wanted to try it. It's raw oysters usually come with accoutrements. Even here in the South, when we're doing them down here, it's hot sauce and a cracker, right? But there they'll do a thing called granitas. They're they're an Italian thing, I think technically, but you like freeze like grapefruit juice or
Hmm.
watermelon, and then you come by and you take your fork, right? And you like fork all that stuff up and then put it back in the freezer and fork more, and you get like this like slushy, snowy ice stuff, and then you put that on the oyster, you know? So
Rick says yes. We frack in Texas, by the way.
Yeah.
They got the
Barely
double
steam 'em.
header. They got the
That's the
double header.
problem.
The fracking and
People want to do it raw, which is like, okay. But, you pop them on the grill for a little bit.
all right.
Just steam them up. Just
All right.
a little tiny bit.
I think we're done with oyster tug. All right.
No.
For now, because we're gonna get to a
Never.
good water story now. This is a good water story. All right.
Okay.
Good water story. Yay, let's get to it.
One more time.
Yay.
Jersey people say water how?
See, I try, but I fall into it. Water. I say water, but I fall into water. All right, and
Water.
I can't help it, but it is water, and that is what it is. All right, so we're going to poison water. All right, water. Now,
What up?
there you go, Reef. You could center yourself a little better, bro. Honestly, you're down in the corner. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
That better?
Lower. Down.
Lower.
Down. Yeah, there you go. Now you're more centered. Hey, what's up, Erin? Hey, now you see Reef. Okay.
Yep.
Poisoned water. Well, we actually know about this town that had poisoned water, because many of us saw the movie Gasland back in 2010, right?
Yep.
2009.
I think I meant to watch it.
Well,
I remember seeing the interview with Jon Stewart.
I watched it, and it was fucking horrifying. And Mark Ruffalo narrated it, and Josh Fox shot it. They may have been, well, they were on our team totally then, but now obviously we are where we are. But and hopefully we end up back on the team.
Mark Ruffalo
again,
with his own piss? Is he doing?
No, I'm going to show you
acting?
I'm going to show you what that is in a moment. Because they actually have a much larger blown up shot of that. But Cabot Oil and Gas reached a plea deal with the Pennsylvania Attorney General after being charged with contaminating the drinking water in Dimmock. Will have to pay $16.2 million to rebuild water infrastructure for residents and pay for their water bills for 75 years. Finally, something. But meanwhile, they had to make a movie about this guy, about this town, right? So again, this is coming out of Mike Ludwig from Truthout. And I will also give a shout out to Brett Wilkins from Common Dreams, also wrote a very similar article to this. And he also made the reference to Gasland movie, which was not referenced here, but I thought that Mike pretty much covered the rest of it. So I put Mike's stuff in, and I really like Mike. Truthout, Indie Media Award winner. Check them out. They redesigned their website. Looks good. So this is what that is. This is what came out of these guys' tap. Out of these guys' tap. Like out of their, gross. Craig Stevens of Silver Lake Township, Pennsylvania, and Ray Kemble on the right of Dimmock show water samples collected from Dimmock during a rally on fracking-related water investigations, October 10, 2014, outside the EPA's headquarters. They brought the water there and asked them to drink it. They're like, here.
Yeah. Do you think Obama took a shot of it?
Not that. No.
Little sippy poo.
No, not that time.
Damn.
But, holy crap! So, fossil fuel company was convicted of criminal charges in Pennsylvania on Wednesday, more than a decade after an early fracking operation poisoned drinking water for residents of the small town of Dimmock, sparked one of the first major controversies to arise from the oil and gas boom. After years of legal wrangling, the company formerly known as Cabot Oil and Gas agreed to plead no contest, 15 criminal violations of state environmental laws, and pay nearly $16 million, $16.3 million, for the construction of a new public water supply for Dimmock. That sounds fair enough. Activists say some Dimmock residents went years without access to clean tap water, and Coterra Energy, who's the company that bought Cabot, will pay their water bills for 75 years under a plea deal with Josh Shapiro. That's Pennsylvania AG. I think either he just won. Didn't he just win the governorship? I believe. I could be wrong.
He related to that other Shapiro?
No, thank God, no. It remains unclear whether Coterra will be permitted to frack the area in the future, but production was halted years ago as the scandal unfolded. Located in rural northeastern Pennsylvania, Dimmock became ground zero for the debate over fracking when a resident's water well exploded after filling with methane. Residents had already suffered from strange rashes and headaches for several months, and at least one family was evacuated from their home, according to the environmental group Food and Water Watch. And that's who we posted the tweet from. Residents would later
Food
learn
and
that
water.
do you want to read this one, please? Make me really not sound super Jersey. Residents would later learn
Whatever, dude.
that a fracking rig run by a cabin subsidiary had ruptured a methane pocket, but kept drilling despite a leak.
You
That's
just fucking lead into it. You know what I'm saying? Residents would later learn that a fracking rig run by a cabin subsidiary had ruptured a methane pocket, but
Julia.
kept drilling despite a leak. Julia.
I gotta
Gotta go
install
full
this ceiling
throttle.
fan. Go full
Finally,
throttle.
Julia, some justice, said Ray Kimball.
Denmark
Except this
resident.
is
Oh
what,
God,
this
no,
is in
don't do that.
Pennsylvania.
Yes, a Denmark resident whose water was contaminated in a statement. This is serious, man. We shouldn't do this. This case proves once and for all that the drilling and fracking contaminated our water. I mean, it did. That's why I made this big because, and we should stop here because this is an actual resident there saying, finally some justice. This case proves once and for all the drilling and fracking contaminated our drinking water. There's tons of places that tell you that that's not true. And that, it's fine. No, this absolutely proves it.
Fine.
Yeah, sure. Rick wants you to keep making fun of me for it. Yeah. Sure. He's from Texas, of course. Yeah, I'm going to get you back, bro. All right. So back in 2009, fracking was a relatively new technology, allowing producers to drill or frack horizontally in vast underground shale formations that were rich in oil and gas, but largely inaccessible to conventional drilling. The Obama administration,
essentially, for those who don't know, just a real quick, what that actually is: pump water into rock. Hopefully, oil comes out because water, oil don't mix.
Gas, no natural gas. It's natural gas.
Sure.
Fracking.
Either way, that is a hydrocarbon that will not mix with water.
Mm-hmm. So
it can pull THC out of weed, but I digress.
So the Obama administration, we know all about those guys, embraced fracked natural gas as a bridge fuel that would allow the U.S. to reduce coal consumption and meet climate goals. And the industry was engaged in an intense campaign to win over lawmakers and ensure the public that fracking is quote unquote safe. Thanks, guys.
It's clean.
It's complicated.
Oz would like us to please define what clean water is.
Clean water would be something that doesn't kill you when you drink it or bathe in it.
That sure. Hasn't had anyone's ass wash itself in it. You know,
people across the country remember what happened here in Denmark, and now they will know the rule of law has won the day. That's the attorney general, and he's either running for governor, he's going to run for governor, or he just won the governorship. It's exactly what the AGs do. However, the plea government was 14 years in the making. Shapiro, who's a Democrat who recently battled off a fight for a far-right Republican and was elected Pennsylvania's next governor. Aha, see, I knew it. Brought charges against the Coterra Energy in 2020 after a grand jury investigation determined that fracking was to blame for methane and other contaminants in water wells used by residents who initially signed agreements allowing Cabot to frack under their property.
Under their wait.
Yes, they gave them permission because they said it was safe.
Oh, God. You mean like other places where you're not even allowed to do it anywhere near because, water moving through rock.
Wait, what's that word?
Water?
Yeah.
Water.
All right. So Shapiro demurred when he was asked whether Coterra would be permitted to frack near Denmark in the future. What? Saying that he would review any proposals with his environmental secretary after taking over as governor. Governor-elect also called for stricter regulation of fossil fuel production. Quote, if the regulators fail to do that, then industry is not going to be constrained and they're going to go ahead and put profits for people. Unquote. Of course they are. That's what they do. Industry never puts people before profits. Previous investigations by state and federal regulators yielded mixed and highly controversial results. In 2010, the DEP in Pennsylvania fined Cabot for contaminating water in 19 homes and drew up plans for alternate water supply for Denmark. However, in 2012, DEP allowed Cabot to resume fracking in the area after a pause. Why, I have no idea. But plans to construct a line connecting Denmark to a water treatment facility were dropped by state officials after Cabot agreed to a $4.1 million settlement with 19 families living with contaminated water. That seems awfully low for 19 families, personally.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, for possibility of like,
and this is why. Because for years, residents relied on bottled water and deliveries of fresh water because they understood that their well water was contaminated. At one point, Cabot was ordered to deliver water to impacted residents, even as the company continued to claim no responsibility for the pollution. On October 19, 2011, the EP told Cabot that the company was no longer required to deliver water to affected families as the dispute over the source of contamination continued.
Like, they still don't know what it is. They're like,
they're
no,
just
it couldn't
denying
be the fucking fracking. Okay.
In 2012, federal EPA ran its own tests of drinking water in Denmark, but officials abruptly closed the investigation and declared the water safe to drink with help from special filters, and despite the presence of contaminants associated with fracking. Yeah. It was later revealed that EPA staff members had warned their superiors that more testing was needed due to the presence of dangerous pollutants. But Obama administration. During the controversy, jugs of brown tap water from Denmark became national symbols of the dangers posed by fracking. In 2014, Kimball and other residents delivered samples of contaminated water to the EPA headquarters in Washington, D.C. For years, Cabot, like the rest of the industry, claimed no wrongdoing as it pressed to expand fracking infrastructure in Pennsylvania and across the nation. I seem to recall like Steve Colbert and Jon Stewart getting behind this too. I remember these guys going on the Daily Show.
I definitely remember that was a thing.
And pouring the water in the cup and just be like, holy shit. Right?
Yeah.
Fracking does not contaminate drinking water, the industry claimed. We now know from the thousands of peer-reviewed studies in Pennsylvania and beyond that fracking damages the environment and releases air and water pollution that can seriously harm human health. Now, a lot of
that air pollution directly responsible for, because of our, well, not the pollution, but knowing that the air gets polluted, partially Brockovich, right? With her
that's yes. She's definitely part of this too. All of it. I mean, again,
yeah.
Where's my Misty? I need Misty.
We're fucked.
Yeah, thank you. So,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, thank you, Big AL. Or actually, that's Mr. Slave. Oh yes, God, Jesus Christ.
Mr. Slave.
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
I love it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, here we go.
Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like the last one gets the angels in there.
So,
Jesus Christ.
E.
Like,
Heller.
it's actually Jesus.
.com. To Ed Heller, what's up, dude? Yipper. Wardier, yeah. Warda, Wada, Woodger, Worda. Thank you. Wada.
No, it's Wada.
It's Wada.
The J is silent.
Everybody's
WOUJDER.
Jersey
so
people really do act like
spelling.
No, they totally don't, Yipper. No, it's a myth. People at the Jersey Shore are Jersey Shore, but there's three
Colin
parts of
will
Jersey.
know this guy in chat. Brad from Bon Appetit, which Condé Nast subsidiary.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not exactly happy about that, especially that Brad stayed and all the other ones left. During that whole debacle, they had a problem with some not hiring the way you should be and not paying African Americans the way they should be, and
nice.
Yeah, real fucked. But anyway, Brad over there, Jersey guy, right? There's a bunch of fermented stuff, but every time they say classically he had a really good editor, and the editor every time he said "wada" would put up a little he would type it out and put it up on screen somewhere. WOUJDER. Water. Water. Like we go to get water. Like